It's Grace Redman. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Real Talk, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who have overcome challenges and created amazing. My incredible guest today is Doug Bailey. Doug has been involved in the Central Florida entertainment industry for almost 40 years. He has worked at Disney, Universal, and Nickelodeon studios and everything from the script department to casting. As a freelance casting agent, Doug went on to cast over 30 national and regional commercials. In his 30 years as the owner of Bailey Talent, he has booked talent in hundreds of print ads, magazine covers, TV shows, commercials, and films. He has worked with clients like Vogue, McDonald's, Star Search, Nike, Universal, and Disney. He has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Orlando Sentinel, Orlando Weekly, Disney's Eyes and Ears, and Orlando Magazine. Doug is the current adult male vocalist champion on Destination Stardom, filmed in Hawaii. He has sung on Live with Regis and Kathie Lee, performed at Disney in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Doug Live in front of over 400,000 people. He has also performed with the 87-piece Imperial Symphony Orchestra, the Orlando Philharmonic, and the House of Blues and Hard Rock Live, where he has opened for the Backstreet Boys. Please help me welcome Doug Bailey. Hi, Doug.
Hey, Grace, how are you? God bless you for that review. I mean, it was a mouthful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me. I know how busy you are, so I'm excited to have you here and excited to talk about the celebrity factor and some of, the new visions you have ahead. So I'm excited for you to share with us today.
It was fun for me to listen to you just go over some things because some of the things you said I haven't really thought about for years. I'm like, oh my gosh. So this is exciting and fun for me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much. And you've really been I know you've had, your own firm for 10 years, but you've been in the entertainment industry for over 40 years.
Yes. And actually, my firm I've had for almost 30 years now.
Oh,
It's been a lot, but exciting. There's pros and cons to owning your own company. As you know, you're doing the same thing. So um, I'm thrilled to be able to reach as many people as I have in the entertainment industry. And I'm excited with the celebrity factor to now start interacting with people outside of the entertainment industry.
so talk to us a little bit about that. Like after 40 years, you're ready to start connecting with people outside of the industry. What does that mean for you? What does that look like?
Well, it was my sister, who partnered with me, gosh, 7 or 8 years ago for a couple of years, that, once she came in and got involved in a lot of the things that we did, she was the one that actually brought it up to me, "Doug, this would, like, work with real estate people, this would work with plumbers, this would work with preachers and teachers." And I realized that, many of the things that draw us to celebrity, or to influencers, or to rock stars, or to sports athletes is this confidence and this awareness of who they are and this developed skill and life perspective that draws the world. And I've worked with actors and models for years to take them from regular people with a dream to becoming these larger than life personalities. And I'm excited to do more of that with real people. And because I think for the longest time, even though I've loved doing it, so much of what I do kind of whittles down to advertising and marketing and entertainment. And after living my life and raising kids and going through some challenges and some trauma and some issues that many lives navigate, I realized that I want my life to be involved in more than just entertainment and marketing. I wanted to be involved in day-to-day living. I want, the value of relationships, the value of family, the value of legacy, the value of, you know, connecting to strangers and helping them. So there's a long answer to a short question. It's a phrase I say a lot because I have lots to share.
But I love what you're sharing and, going back to sort of value and legacy and relationships. And you said real people. What do you mean by real people?
Actors and models are one person to their friends, and
Mm,
completely different to the world.
understood.
And real people are the same at work and at home. And I've lived in this world of beauty and talent and success and money and energy and fame. And 40 years of that kind of over stimulates, oversaturates, does something to like your adrenals, to be honest.
Mm.
And I found as I've gotten older that sitting in the backyard in the morning doing a prayer or a meditation or just listening to the birds or grounding without trying to sound like a California woo-woo guy, the value of grounding and connecting to the earth, and just being still is
Yes.
incredibly valuable. So I
Yes.
want to be more involved now in my future years with things that have more depth and things that have more of a grounded feeling.
Mm. Well, I'm in California, so and that's really what that is actually something I do. It's non-negotiable in the
I
morning.
do too. I said that for maybe there were the people in the middle of Ohio that are grounded. What the heck are you talking grounding? Walking in, I work on the dirt every day. It's not grounding that. So anyway,
So,
we've got
but it's
birds
true.
and things. So
No, but it's true because, I've talked about this before, being a hustler and a grinder and was constantly on the go. I've had to learn how to ground, like what you're, do what you're talking about, step back, meditate, breathe, be present, because we all get lost in that hustle. What do we lose in that hustle?
I think simplicity. I think,
Mhm.
gosh, the best way for me to answer that question is, and we'll probably get to this a little bit later, but I've had 3 or 4 years ago, my oldest daughter went through a really um, horrible situation, and we can get to it when you want to. But I learned through navigating that difficulty that when you have something that is so heavy and so big and so hard, and you're moving through it every single day, you crave the days that were simpler, that
Mhm.
you didn't realize the value of simplicity. They didn't realize the value of bills being paid, kids being fed, job going great. As a human race, I think, especially in America, we tend to always want more, something bigger, something better. And there's so much wonder and beauty, simple
Yes.
things that people talk about stopping to smell the flowers and to smell the roses and so forth. That becomes this trite saying, but the reality is just walking in the morning in the sunshine before my kids wake up, or even in the dark. Sometimes I've gotten up as early as 4:30 in the morning and walked in my neighborhood in the dark and just listening to nightingales and to crickets and walking when everyone is still, when my phone's not ringing, when I can think, when I can be grateful for my life and my breath. I think as we pursue success, again, because of the way our world is so fast, with social media now, we can reach the world. You're in California, I'm in Florida. We're talking and we're sharing with, lots and lots of people. Um, we get oversaturated with stimulation and oversaturated with the ability to connect to a million things at once. And I think being able to stop, turn those things off, and just remember what life is about. These are great things that can be used as tools, but often they fall into drawing us into. I can sometimes find myself on this for 2 or 3 hours just watching, being entertained, and not living life, and I'm excited about that. When I navigated a lot of my daughter's challenges, I longed for the days when things were simple, and so that's what I'm trying to live in now every day, is still interacting and doing the things that I do, but really finding that value of breathing,
Yes.
clearing my mind, and gratitude, and simple tasks, and the joy in those things.
Yes, and I know you're very busy. I mean, we've spoken about this. You're working 14, 15-hour days. How are you able to infuse, that time to ground when you have such long days? How have you been able to integrate the inner peace?
It's a really, really great question. You have to make it a priority. When you try to fit it in, speaking for myself, it doesn't happen. Um, that goes for vacations, that goes for time with my kids. I can have great intention, but if I'm not taking it from intention to action and not planning for it. Um, how busy I've allowed my life to get with the different divisions. We represent actors and models in 4 markets. We work with actors in Los Angeles, in New York, in Atlanta, and in Florida. We've
Mhm.
really, we've really navigated and used the social media and virtual world in a remarkable way, but while it's given us great access, it's also added many, many more hours of work. So scheduling time for me, even though this sounds crazy to some people, getting up at 5 in the morning and having a few hours to myself when, again, the world is still and it's sleep and business is not happening, is the most valuable time for me
Yeah.
because I'm not on a clock. I'm not worried about something that I have to catch up in. I've got a couple of hours every day. And I think we lose sight sometimes of just the incredible blessing of breath and of being able to wake up every morning. And as we get older, we navigate our family members and friends getting older as well. And as they, transition to heaven or to, losing their life, you realize that when time is short, you want to look at the time that you have and get more out of it. So for me, getting up early in the morning and being grateful for breath and being grateful for life that I have another day that I could do so many different things, I can impact so many different people, and then really setting a plan to make a change with my family and the people that are around me. Um, that's how I really connect to what is my purpose for the future.
Yes, yes, and I completely, relate to what you're saying. Those early morning hours, sometimes between 4:30 and, 7 a.m., are just so sacred for
They really
me as well, and it's just that's when again and then I start hearing the birds chirping outside, and it just same thing, it connects me and grounds me and helps me prepare for the day as well, so I love that you shared that because
You know that the chirping of the birds and their frequency and their sound, there's statistics and studies that show that that is actually what opens up the leaves in the trees and the flowers. It kind of
that.
activates them. So there's something interesting when you're hearing those things that kind of stir you if you're able to be quiet and just listen.
Mm. Oh, I believe that. I've never heard that, but I definitely wanna look into that because I there is an energy frequency because when you hear the bird, at least in my experience, when I hear the birds chirping, I can feel it in my spirit. There's something that shifts.
There's something that just resonates with you. It's wonderful.
Yes, yes. And so you faced, so many challenges to get to where you are. I mean, just you've created something so amazing. What was one of the greatest challenges you faced and how did that change you? And how was it a silver lining? How was there a silver lining in that challenge?
Oh gosh, I've had so many challenges in my life. I would say one of the biggest challenges in my career is continuing to be successful in an industry that is constantly changing.
Mm.
I got into the entertainment industry before the internet. I've been here since the dawn of time. Back when I started and was trained, we were literally working on just phones. Then it transitioned to the internet, and I remember my dad and I, who bought out the Cassandra agency and were able to, change the name to Bailey's Entertainment Group. We were one of the first agencies in town that actually had a website with models on it, and were using the internet. And I can remember way back when clients would ask for packages. Gosh, we would spend $50,000 to $60,000 a year on FedExes and couriers to get headshots and resumes and videotapes, all over the country. And when it transitioned to the internet, I can remember quite a few art directors and clients saying, "You're ahead of your time. Just let's go back to the packages." And while that's a neat thing to say, as you're spending, tens of thousands of dollars creating a website and trying to break in and do new things, that was challenging. Probably the most difficult thing to do is to continue to be able to connect to culture and to business as seasons change, generations change, taste changes, technology changes. I have learned a couple of things from my dad. I've learned many things from my dad, but the things that I'll share are the success in business, in sales, comes from knowing, learning about your client, caring about your client and your client's needs, not just caring about making money and making a sale,
Yeah.
but really having a desire to get to know that person and serve that person, and then find creative ways to give that person more than they're asking for. It's the first thing that I learned. I also learned that caring enough about the concept of what you do that you're willing to shift and change and evolve with time is what keeps you kind of on the cutting edge moving forward. So our business has changed from sending headshots and making phone calls to clients to pitch talent to using the internet initially and sending digital images, now to switching to social media and leveraging social media, um, with the growth of short form content like TikTok and YouTube videos. So many of us are on our phones more than we are in the movie theaters and more than we're watching the television.
It's true.
That has changed and evolving with that, and just learning to adjust and move with culture and find ways to still be helpful and successful. So I would say
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest things, rather than just saying this is how we do it and things have changed and I'm not going to change. And so now I need to quit and retire. I want to continue to impact people no matter how the industry changes. That's business wise. Were you asking in my personal life as well, or just business?
No, I think but whatever you wanted to share, I think that's a beautiful example and how, you need to continue to reinvent yourself and move and pivot regardless of, how successful you've been. When as things change, we must change with the times.
Very, very true.
Yeah, and you've been very successful, in doing that. And I love how you shared that, social media and the internet has been a remarkable way for you to get out there and, just you're across the country.
It's interesting. My oldest daughter, Kate, got an offer to sign with a TikTok agency, and when they communicated to her, when she followed some of their techniques, the amount of revenue she could make with just a few hours a day live streaming, that the potential of that opened up the opportunity for her to really act and model and do what she wanted to do full time. When they presented that idea to me as a loving dad, I'm thinking to myself, that's crazy. There's no way. There's no way that's going to grow. So I came alongside her instead of telling her she was foolish, which sometimes I might have chosen to do when I was younger. I thought, let me just support her and watch and listen. And as I listened, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm the one that was foolish. World
Interesting.
is changing.
Wow.
And as I realized everything they were saying was true, I told my daughter, "My gosh, honey, you've got to do this because she has such a wonderful presence online." I started to get involved, and then I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, I have thousands of actors that I know that are constantly struggling. They wait tables, they sell clothes, they do all these different kind of things, not pursuing their heart so that they are available to pursue their heart. And
Mm.
pursuing their passion takes maybe 10% of their life, 80, 90% is working to. So I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I've literally got so many actors and models that would be blessed by this. So I decided to dive in and become a live streamer myself, which was
Oh,
easy initially because my desire was to learn it so that I could share it rather than just say, this is what they say. And it's changed us. It's changed the way we communicate. Now, actors and models have the ability to create what's called UGC, which is user generated content. In the old
nice.
days, you'd have to wait to be called for an audition for Nike or a call for an audition for McDonald's. Now, you can get a McDonald's hamburger and shoot kind of a homegrown version, kind of a pitch, present it to McDonald's. And I would say 30 to 40% of most of the major advertisers across the country are putting their money towards UGC.
Wow.
Actors and models can now make a remarkable living creating their own commercials with their phone. They don't have to have a big editing suite. They don't have to be brilliant script writers. Clients are looking for organic, real conversations like we're having, where it doesn't have to have the pomp and circumstance and the makeup and the wardrobe and the, special effects. So, learning about that and learning that actors can and models and people in the entertainment industry can create their own future rather than waiting for it, begging for it to happen. Please, why don't you love me? Why can't I take action and find your way forward? That's exciting.
I love that because now you're taking your career in your own hands and you're being more responsive instead of reactive and waiting for someone to come create it for you.
I think that's very important in the success of being an entrepreneur, especially in my business. I tell actors and models when I sign them um, all the time, don't leave the success of your future in my hands. I say that
Mm,
flat out, and usually they're a little startled. And I say to them, no one will love your career more than you.
that's true.
And you have to find a way every day to move the needle forward. Let me come alongside you and help, but don't give up the reins. I mean, unless you're giving it up to God to say, open opportunities for me, God. But
Yes.
make things happen every day. Move it forward every day, and you'll be surprised, where you'll be in a year. So
I love that because yes, there can be people that support us that are on our team. However, we are the best person to move our business forward, regardless of what that business is. There isn't going to be like I know that there's some people that say, they should have, done this for me. No, it's like yes, these people support us, but our business, regardless of what it is in our hands. And each day we need to take steps and create the momentum to move our career forward. And then that creates a compound effect because it's not an
yes.
overnight success.
Absolutely. Nothing is. Nothing is. Anything, all these old sayings that we heard as kids, anything that's worthwhile isn't easy, all those kind of things. And working hard is this. I mean, people think all the time that entertainment is about luck and, your looks and your talent and being in the right place at the right time. And while those things benefit anyone, if you're a good looking plumber, you're going to have a better response from people than if you're not. I mean, it just is the way it is. If you're in the right place when somebody's pipe bursts, you're a plumber, that's a good thing, right? But plumbers, just like actors, just like politicians, just like doctors, become successful because of consistent hard work. The what I call like the behind the scenes work that nobody sees. That's how you
Mhm.
become successful. If you're dieting, that's how you're successful. If you're working out, if you're a musician practicing, if you're a singer, if you're an actor, if you're an attorney, just having a passion for it and really diving in and staying consistent.
Yes, and this is, probably the 3rd time consistency came up this week in my conversations with colleagues and other professionals is again, like you said, success doesn't come overnight. It's being consistent. And I wanna ask, because like we shared earlier, there's this, new, what did you call it? UVC?
UGC, it's user generated content.
Okay, UGC. So now that's something new. Now, if someone is interested in starting you to do that, they need to be consistent with that and continue to do that and not jump on the next craze that might come up in a month.
Absolutely, and like anything, whether you're acting or you're in business or, you're trying to do UGC, it's always my mindset is research it first, spend some time watching videos, learning, chatting with other people, buying books, getting content, and then invest time. There's like a honeymoon time when you're an entrepreneur that you have all these ideas about the potential of reaching people and making money, and then you hit the reality of how challenging whatever your idea is. And so often people will not stick the landing and stay in it and just keep pushing through. They hit a wall and then they jump to another idea that seems even easier and they jump on that and then they hit a wall and then they keep ping-ponging, whereas the people that stay in it and push through some of those challenges find remarkable results. And
Yes.
I like the idea as an artist being able to take, in some ways, control of your life and your future in your hands and pick 10 or 15 clients that you would love to work with and find the way to create product for them. Because, I mean, there are people, some people make $50 a video, some people make $100 a video, some people make $1,000 a video. I know people that make $5,000. I know people that make $10,000 a UGC video.
Amazing.
Remarkable when you're using your phone and, doing a little research with how to shoot in a couple of different clips and putting some things together. So, I think, it's interesting that some, TV shows are being shot with iPhones, some
Wow.
movies are being shot with iPhones. People are recording records with you know,
Wow.
what used to be this big culture with music industry record labels and editing movie studios and all these things that were not accessible by regular people because of these remarkable devices, whether you're a an Apple person or an Android person. If you're creative, there's a way to get your message out and to connect to the world and to monetize it to support yourself where there wasn't 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, I mean, I this is new to me, so I definitely wanna look into that, and thank you for sharing. And we'll also, kind of put the definition, of that in the show notes later on.
I'm happy to give you whatever support you need to communicate that to people later.
Yeah,
Happy to do this,
thank
Mika.
you. Well, I wanna go back to the celebrity factor and, how what is the main principle of the celebrity factor, and how can the average person really embody the celebrity factor?
Ultimately, the celebrity factor is learning how to communicate to your audience and to influence them. If I were to whittle, it's a 10 chapter book with 10 different ideas that, there's so much to. It's interesting too, even as I created this celebrity factor name probably 6, 7 years ago when celebrity was still very, very powerful. But gosh, it might have even been 10 years ago. But in the last couple of years, just with the Me Too movement and the way the industry has shifted, and again, the power of social media and people getting real information out, whereas Hollywood used to spin stories and, there'd be PR people that would fabricate truths and fabricate stories. The world is now more interested in authentic than
Mhm.
shiny and perfect.
Yes.
Um, so as I am now stepping out from behind the agent's desk and traveling to speak to companies and to businesses and to corporations and brands, while the power and the structure of what created celebrity is still valuable, the brand word of celebrity has a sour taste in the mouth,
Mhm.
in my mindset. So um, I pivot and talk about celebrity is the brand and the word that people know, but the word influencer and the desire to influence
Mm,
is really the structure of what I share. How we influence a room, how we influence a person, how we influence a culture. Um, and as I said earlier, it's having a desire to share a message that you think is important or an idea that you think is important. And you so are in love or so passionate about that idea that passion and excitement comes through, and learning the different techniques in powerful communication.
mm,
A lot of people feel like communication is sales, or communication is being a good speaker, or communication is, something different, but there are so many parts to good communication. Words and sound is the smallest percentage of successful communication, and body language and gestures and listening and understanding and speaking back what the person is saying. And I believe if I'm going to meet someone, I try to research that person so I know what interests them. I share this with actors and models, and now I share this with audiences. If you, I had the remarkable opportunity to work with a huge company called BCG in Los Angeles. They're a nationwide company. They're consultants, and they flew me into California to share some acting techniques that could help their consultants connect to their clients. They felt, actors connect emotionally and create improvs and learn to think on their feet and all these wonderful things, and they're relaxed and they're full of energy and full of joy and so forth. Whereas a lot of consultants are brainiacs and intense and focused on content, but don't have the ability to communicate, and they stutter and stammer and get nervous and so forth. So
fascinating.
what I did was spend time really understanding my clients, and I researched the company and I researched some of the consultants, and I got names of people so I could find out about their families, about their desires, about their interests. Because when you meet someone, if you can make a connection through sports, music, faith, art, exercise, anything that there is a similarity draws a connection.
Yes.
draws familiarity, um, starts to build a relationship, and asking the right types of questions, um, inspiring people to share and to be vulnerable, creating a safe environment when you're visiting and chatting or communicating so that they can so they can share those things. And then, as I said earlier, giving them more than they ask for is kind of the foundation of what I do. Um, Ultimately, the purpose of the celebrity factor is to take a person that has a job or a career or a product or a relationship, help them to connect to the value of that, to understand what their gifts are, what their purpose is, what they're wanting. A lot of people want success, but really don't know who they are, can't communicate exactly what they wanted. So spending some time to understand that, and then finding ways that they can connect to their clients and be able to share their talent or their ability or their technique. And then that's kind of the core of it. And then learning through marketing and sales and social media and branding how to grow and become more successful. I think, image and the way you look and the way you present yourself and the way you stand is very important because that's your first impression of people. And
Yes.
then trying to give nuggets of wisdom and to communicate in a way that it resonates so that you're memorable. I think if you have the ability to connect with a story or an idea that causes someone to feel emotionally, when we connect emotions or our senses with something, it resonates and we can remember it. That's one of the kind of secret tricks that celebrities do, so that you remember that celebrity and you follow them.
Yeah, and a lot of what I heard you say and talk about was presence, emotional connection. So also connecting with yourself, knowing yourself to be able to make that connection. And you talked about authenticity, which brings me to, being in an industry that can be so cutthroat and so judgmental. How are you able to find that authenticity to be able to connect and influence in the way that, you're sharing?
Great. You are remarkable at asking questions.
Well, thank you.
I mean that. These are wonderful questions.
Thank you.
For me, the only way that I made it through 40 years was my faith
Mm.
and, connecting to a higher power and connecting to a value and a purpose that was greater than me.
Mm.
Um, Especially as I went through this challenge with my daughter in the last couple of years. And I hope we'll have some time to share a little bit about that, even though it's very heavy because I've learned so much from that. But
I'd love to hear. I'm ready to hear and you share about that experience.
well, let me segue then. A- when this situation happened, and I'll go into it in just a minute. Um, I was driving to um, navigate what had happened, and I remember questioning my life. I remember being so shocked. It's probably easiest just for me to tell you this. My oldest daughter is a model and an actress, and she lives in Los Angeles, and she's also a remarkable photographer. Um, she shoots headshots and modeling images, and I think because she grew up around me and around the industry and so many artists, she learned very early how to see things differently. She
Mm.
also learned the importance of connecting to people, and she also learned how to draw people out. So when she shoots people, she has an ability to connect to their heart and this sounds all dramatic, but she connects to their essence and draws it out. So she captures these images where their eyes just connect in ways that would just
No,
start.
I love that. It's you talk, the essence and energy and frequency and heart. This is all real.
It really
This is
is.
real.
And she
Faith.
found a way to capture it in this image. So she would live in Los Angeles and she would shoot some of our models and actors in Los Angeles, but often she would fly home once a month for a weekend, which was great for her mom and me because usually when kids go to the other end of the world, you see them at Christmas if you're luckier. She would come home every month.
Mm.
She'd shoot for a couple of days and make enough money to live in California and pursue her career. Well, she was home one weekend. I was out with my business partner on a retreat. Our business was booming and we were looking to expand, and she had flown in on a red eye and driven very early in the morning to shoot to probably 10, 12 models and actors. And on her way home, she got hit by a truck and she suffered one of the most severe traumatic brain injuries possible. Um, when her mom and I rushed to the hospital, that was when I was questioning, my life, my firstborn child. The chaplain that called me when I asked, do you know what's happened? He said, I do not know. I just know that she was airlifted. I know it's a very dire situation. Driving with my best friend, questioning whether my daughter was going to live or not. I I literally said to him, what am I going to do tomorrow if she dies? How do I get up when your child dies? How do you get up and go on? How do I answer the phone and pitch a Disney commercial? How do I book someone on a dog food commercial when my daughter's dead? I mean, again, a very dark thing to say. So sorry to bring this
No,
down,
but
but
this is real. This is real and raw, and this is life. This
it,
is real life.
there's also a true silver lining in it. And so I just started questioning all those things. I think I'm grateful for my life, and I'm not saying that I regret my life, but I want to do more. Um, we got to the hospital, and the doctors told us that she had actually died before the EMT got to her, and the EMT brought her back to life, remarkably. And when we got there, the injury was so severe that the doctors told us there was literally nothing they could do. And I remember being so angry. My either her mom just made this sound, this groan, and this wail that I will never forget. And um, we got to a place where we had to wait to see, what Caitlin was going to do, what her body was going to do. So I realized if the only thing that I had was faith, that while my daughter still had breath, I was going to believe that my daughter could be healed. I was going to remind God of his promises. I was going to create an environment that was hopeful, that was positive, that had the right energy. And speaking of frequencies, we played worship music. We specifically found the healing frequency and played the healing frequency in her room constantly. We told doctors and nurses that if they had anything negative to report, they would do it in the hallway. They would not do it in the room. And we started speaking to our daughter, telling her to fight, to live, to love. And it is the hardest thing I've ever been through. The first few days, I actually felt like I was walking in the valley of the shadow of death. I really felt this almost two world situations where I felt death. I literally felt death all around me. But um, I also felt God very tangibly. I had never felt that before in such a strong way. And I felt sorrow, but I also felt hope. And it was just a very surreal time. And when things are so dark and so heavy that you literally don't know how to go on, the only thing you can do is just take a deep breath and grab yourself and try to move forward. Try to take a step forward. Try to just get through the day, not to plan for the week, not to plan for the year, but just do the best you can. And one day turns into two, turns into a week, turns into a month. Kate was in the hospital for 62 days. Her mom and I went to the hospital for 2 months every single day and saw my daughter learn how to walk again, how to talk again, how to swallow, how to move. Um, she came home and they told her that we would have to give her, 24-hour care. I moved from the place I was living to a house to take care of her. And Kim, her mom, and I just did everything. Our lives stopped, our businesses stopped. We focused on our child. Um, Kate, by the grace of God and by incredible miracles and by an incredible life force, my daughter has literally become a warrior. She is, I would say, 95% healed in her brain.
Amen.
She is last Sunday, almost 4 years to the date of her injury. She did her first photo shoot again,
Beautiful.
professional, and she shot in Winter Park. She shot three models and actors, and shot eight different setups, and did just incredible work with a makeup artist and a producer. Um, she still has some challenges with her arm and her hand. The accident affected the right side of her brain, so while she walks pretty solidly now, her left arm and hand is still stiff. She hasn't really been able to use her left hand in 4 years, unfortunately. So we are hoping and praying that upcoming surgery is going to help that. We're going to Minnesota, of all places, to the Mayo Clinic in both June and August to try to do a transformational surgery. And if that happens, then Katie will be able to use her left hand. But if she can't, she's going to have a remarkable, valuable life without that. And now her dream and her passion is to continue to act and to create stories, but to also bring awareness of how valuable and important people with some level of disability or physical challenges are, and how those people can have a remarkable impact on our life and culture if we let them. So
Amen.
learned a lot, and my faith has deepened, my value of life has deepened, and through that, I asked God about a year ago to help me in my life to be able to make an impact on people eternally. I don't just want to help people make money. I want to help change their perspective on life and on their future and how they can impact culture and their family and how they can connect, and make a difference that will affect not just their life on this earth, but their life after. And that's what I'm trying to do through the celebrity factor is such a bizarre thing to say. I'm trying to find ways to weave valuable lessons that can impact them in more than just their life and their work, and that is my hope.
Well, you have definitely done that today. Like, I am so moved, um, by the story that you shared. It's just an incredible testimony to faith and to miracles. And I heard you say in the beginning of the story that the doctors came out and told you that there wasn't any hope, yet you took that mustard seed and you took that hope and you said, "Don't say anything negative in this room." You put the worship music, and I mean, she's with you and thriving 4 years later.
Yes.
I hold the vision that she will be able, the surgery will help her on the left side. And I know that if for some reason that's not the case, she will continue to be remarkable. And this is what it's about. Yes, the celebrity, that the entertainment industry and the shiny things, and those are fun. However, this is the heart, the depth, the essence. This is what it's about. The faith. This is, and when you said, I don't wanna kinda, I said, "No, let's go there because this is life."
Yeah. It's really the most important thing in our life. We fill
Yes.
so much of our life through entertainment and being, you know, having fun and vacations and all those kind of things, and that's valuable because, you know, the vast majority of us in America, especially in the environment we're in now, we're struggling with food and, money and gas and all those kinds of things, but it's life and our bodies and, I've so many miracles happened, and that sounds like such a religious thing to say, but it is such a interesting thing when you deal with a brilliant surgeon. Some of these surgeons can be so arrogant, and they have like these god, mindsets. And we used to joke that we were team nurse, not team surgeon or team doctor, because the nurses were nurturing and kind, and the doctors were direct and cold, and in some cases rude. To have a man like that 2 times in your daughter's time in the hospital say to you, stone cold direct, "What is happening right now is a miracle. There's no way to describe what your daughter is doing and accomplishing is not possible. I don't have any answer for you except to say that she's healing, she's coming back to life, and I don't know why or how, but it's happening. So all I can tell you is that this is a miracle. You are living in a miracle." And that happened in 2 instances where the doctor specifically said that. I'll tell you one other remarkable thing that happened. During Kate's healing, we went to this place in Florida in the Villages called Aviv Center, the Aviv Center. The first facility like it was created in Tel Aviv, Israel, and so the name of this hospital and this therapy center is called Aviv, and they use hyperbaric chambers in a remarkable way.
Wow.
Um, Hyperbaric is where you get pure oxygen. Many believe in the days of Adam and Eve and in the days of the Bible, because people lived much, much longer, that the quality of the air and the oxygen on the earth was much more pure. And now it is much not as pure. So when you can be in a hyperbaric chamber as an athlete, as an injury person, you heal and grow really well. So Katie got involved in the session where for 6 months she did 2 hours of hyperbaric treatment every day, 5 days a week
Wow.
for
Yeah.
and they did some remarkable things. Without going into all of it, at the very end when we finished, and the doctors did a brain scan again, and we sat down to talk. We were, I don't want to say worried, because I don't really use that word worry anymore. But there was this thought, so much has changed, so much has grown. What if a shoe drops? What if, you know? And this doctor that was so articulate when we were on this Zoom call, this telehealth call, stammering and stuttering and trying to find his words, and I'm thinking, oh no, oh dear God, like here it comes. We haven't been able to do anything. Nothing is. And he said, I really don't know how to say this, so I'll just come out with it. He said, we have been doing this now for 3 years and have seen hundreds and hundreds of people and had remarkable growth in so many people. But our scale or benchmark is usually between 1 to 3% growth. If we see between 1 to 3% change or growth, it is huge. It's a remarkable thing. Your daughter did not have 1 to 3% growth in any of her scales. So again, you know, your heart freezes. You fall into your chair. And he said she had between 20 to 30% growth.
Woo!
Like, we're freezing. My skin is tingling. He said, I've never seen this in my life. I don't understand how this is even, your daughter is young. A lot of the people we navigate are older, but what has happened with your daughter, there are areas of her brain that were dark and almost dead that now have color to it. Things have happened that we've not seen before. Your daughter, we're going to, be adding her to some of our treaties and into our books, because so again, just remarkable things have happened in Kate, and 4 years of the most difficult time. But they say that courage is not having fear. It's stepping forward even though you're fearful, and taking action because you need to. And when you have a child in this situation, you don't have any choice except to push forward. So we've learned a lot, and seen God move in incredible ways. And we are hoping, through my growing my speaking business, that Kate and I can not only be talking about Celebrity Factor, but sharing some of the things that we've learned on this journey, and trying to help other people with trauma navigate it, get to the other side, and just share what we've learned to help people. So it's been not something I would wish on anyone, but something that I'm grateful that I'm through, because I have become someone that I didn't know was possible becoming because of it and how we responded to it.
What an incredible, incredible story of just faith and not giving up and pushing forward. What do you it I do believe in miracles. I've experienced them and seen them myself. What do you believe was the greatest factor in case just recovery like that and just beating all the odds?
From a faith-based place, what startled me was Katie's mom and I are divorced. I don't say that word a lot because I'm not proud of our divorce, and divorce has been very hard on our family, and it's just such a negative word. So that's why I would call her, Katie's mom and so forth. When we were in the hospital room that first night and saw her just broken and lifeless on this bed, Kim whispered to me that we need to forgive each other. And I'm
Mm.
looking at her like, what? Like, you're in one of the most traumatic experiences that anyone could experience. And someone turns to you and says, as all these things are going on around you, we need to forgive each other. What in the world are you talking about? And she said, the Bible says that um, people have to be of one accord. to be able to have the power of their prayer impact the heavens. And I just was so knocked out that in such a traumatic, like like our world shook, like we were in the middle of this hurricane and tornado. And she whispers to me, we need. So we did this absurd thing and turned away from the doctors and nurses and did our best in a short amount of time to be transparent and to truly repent for hurting each other as best as we could in a short amount of time. And then we turned and became this unified force. And whether you believe in the Bible or whether you believe in frequency or resonation or, the universe or whatever, I believe that all of those things are connected.
They
And
are.
that, again, from my faith, that this is how the Bible explains those things. But our energy and our words and our intention and our mindset was completely unified and
Mm.
focused. And one of the biggest miracles that I learned about during this whole process is the body. The body every day is like the word miracle doesn't even work with all the things that the body does. When
Yes.
body stops doing simple things, or you see a child who can normally do this not be able to do this because her hand is frozen, you don't know how to fix it. The fact that your body can do this is a miracle. So
Yeah.
watching the body and watching, because we were applying faith and prayer and mindset. I believe when you are in the will of God and when you are in your destiny, if you have the right mindset and the right words and the right drive, you can do anything. And I think that's why the Bible talks about speak to the mountain and it will move. I have seen remarkable things happen, and my mindset and my psyche has been awoken through this horrific trauma of what the body and people and we can achieve in our life. And I think so much of the world I've been in entertainment has caused millions of people to fall asleep and almost get into a slumber of entertainment and being satiated. And we have to kind of be awoken to what we can achieve and what we're supposed to do. Each of us have this remarkable purpose. None of us are a mistake. None of us are average. We all have greatness. But that is really the heart for me of what the celebrity factor is, because I think people look at celebrities and rock stars as great people because they've done great things. I believe that your neighbor across the street has greatness. I believe you have greatness. I have greatness. Trying to find ways to connect with people to show them that greatness so they can do great things with the life that God has given
Mic drop.
them. Oh my gosh, you're so awesome. I can't believe you just said that.
So beautiful. And what a, again, amazing testimony and forgiveness. Talk about forgiveness and just there's nothing more that I could say. This was just so beautiful and so incredible and such an amazing story. And I'm so grateful that you joined me today because this is really a testimony of what's possible when we turn to each other, have faith, forgive ourselves and others. There's nothing more that I can say. It's been amazing, amazing to have you here today. And I'm looking forward to I could be here with you for another hour to be
I
there's
would love that. If I didn't
so
have to
much.
with my kids, I would talk to you for the next 2 or 3 hours. I would love that.
I mean, there's so much we can unpack in all of this. And I know that I need to be respectful of your time, but I would love for you to join me again because
I would
just
love that.
this has been amazing. And so where can our audience who are listening or watching, where can they find you if they need to reach out, if they're interested in the celebrity factor, the story about Kate is just there's so much incredible here. I could leave you here, stay here with you for the next 2 hours, but I'm gonna respect your time.
They can reach out to me on social media under my name, Doug Bailey. On Instagram, I am Doug Bailey Celebrity Factor. On TikTok, I'm Doug Bailey Speaks. Um, they can go to our website, baileyseg.com. It stands for Bailey's Entertainment Group, but we don't ask people to write out the word entertainment and group in our website. So it's Bailey's EG. They can email me there. And hopefully on another podcast with you. I don't know that your listeners know this, but this is literally my first official podcast I've ever done on Grace Redman's special podcast show. So I am thrilled to be on the Real Talk with you because this is my inaugural podcast. And you made it so easy. You are so gracious.
Thank
Your
you.
questions are so profound and um just I had so many people ask me questions before. It's rare that they are as deep and as stirring as yours, where you caused me to actually stop and think. Almost every question I answered, I had to stop and think, how did I want to answer that? Because they were remarkable. So thank you for doing your research and asking really thought-provoking questions, because it stirred me and shifted around some things, kind of shook the dust off of some things that maybe were dormant for a while. So that was really fun too.
Oh, thank you. You have no idea how honored I am to have you on and that we are, your first experience on podcast. Like I'm thrilled, very excited that we could be that person for that we could be that show for you. And this is not the last that we're going to, collaborate and connect. We're definitely love to have
I
you
would
back.
love to come regularly. I love sharing my message and want to find other podcasts I can be involved with to support and to
Yes.
help. So thank you for being a great first experience, and I look forward to doing it again with you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you watching and listening, thank you so much. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share so we can continue to bring you incredible guests like Doug Bailey. Wishing you all an incredible and blessed day ahead. And just remember, anything is possible. So thank you all for joining me. Hey, love. Thank you so much for listening today. I am so grateful for you. I'd like to show you my appreciation by gifting you a free forgiveness self-hypnosis audio download. Part of living the fun and fabulous life is practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness can be such a long and challenging process. My intention is that this forgiveness audio will help you in practicing forgiveness, especially with yourself. Grab it by visiting daretoachieve.com/forgiveness. For more inspiring tips, make sure to connect with me on social media. Drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram at Grace Redman Dare to Achieve. Until next time, keep moving forward towards living your fabulous life.